You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Dark Mirror Show. I am Kerry Greenaway, and I'm here with my lovely host, Mark Manley. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening. I'm not Kerry Greenaway.
No, you're clearly not Kerry Greenaway. That'll be me.
That would be.
That would be. Now, we are talking tonight about a theory. A very strange theory, I'm going to grant you. But it's a theory that is out there. And earlier on, I was researching and looking at said theory. And I came across some YouTube videos. And one of them had 3.9 million. I'm going to let that number sink into your brains just for a second there. 3.9 million views. Which shocked me, to be fair. Now, the theory we're talking about tonight is called the Hollow Earth theory, and it is interesting.
It's a bit on the fringe society, shall we say?
Fringe, I think, is fringe. Okay, we'll go with fringe.
Jules Verne. Jules Verne started this.
I don't care who started it, but well, anyway. There's quite a few people that have subscribed to this theory, and it still has feet. People still are interested in this theory and still give credence to this theory and still look at this theory and still various people, I'm going to have to maintain professionalism on this one and not share my personal view on this one because it's a very, very strange theory, but it is a theory that's out there. So we thought Friday night, it's a more light-hearted show. We can look at these kind of theories, can't we, Mark?
We can. Guys in the chat room, I'm not saying that Jules Verne started the whole thing. Jules Verne's book being transferred and made into a film started the craze for it in the late 19th century, or last century and this century. That's what I'm saying. I know Sir Edmund Halley started it. God, you lot in the chat room.
They've already started. I know they've already started, haven't they?
It's because it's Hollow Earth, and they're all going 9. Oh, sorry.
I know. Now, the Hollow Earth theory is the theory that there is another world that is lying just beneath the surface of the planet. So think Journey to the Centre of the Earth. This is kind of where we're going tonight with this one. And as I say, that even today, I'm going to say there's a small amount of people who actually believe in this theory, and they validate their ideas through books, websites, all sorts of mediums that they use to try and validate their theory. It's
we have to stay impartial and neutral. Yes, I think a lot of the theories are bat poo crazy, but some of them have some hard science behind them, but the majority of the theories are,
Okay, so we're going to tackle it. We're going to have a look at this, and we're going to give you, hopefully, an idea of of things. Now, the thought that there is something beneath our feet, I know, there is something beneath our feet that has been around for a long time, hasn't it? I mean, it's gone through, various theologies and mythologies and the metaphysical world. I mean, I was thinking about like the Greek underworld, like where Hades ruled the underworld, and you could access that by going through a cave and crossing a river, the river Styx. So that theory of being able to access an underworld has been around for quite a long time. I mean, all right, it's not in the same, journey to the centre of the earth kind of thing. It's like souls, that's where the souls used to reside. But that theory of being able to go and access the underworld has been around for quite a long time. As I say, that's Greek mythology that I found, that I came up with. And, dwarves, when you think of, the Nordic, the dwarves, they lived beneath the ground in, subterranean mines and complexes and stuff, didn't they?
Earth, Lord of the Rings, all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, kind of thing. And even if you look at even if you look at Christianity, I mean, and some forms of Judaism, you've got hell, heaven, and hell. I know that's a belief system, but that is like you go up to heaven, you go down to hell, and even you've got some really famous, writings by Dante that outlined a journey into the underworld through 9 circles of hell.
That's right. Yeah.
Haven't you? Wow. I'm going to tell you what they are because I know them. I'm going to tell you what they are just to show off a little bit.
Famous comedy.
I know. The Divine Comedy. And there's limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. Treachery. Can't even speak. Treachery.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Kerry Greenaway's weekend sketch schedule.
Yeah, treachery. Yeah, that is my weekend. Summed up in my 9 circles of hell every single weekend. No, that's not true, Mark. And maybe a little bit. Anyway, so this theory of going to the underworld and being able to access that is sort of deep set, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it goes... Well, I mean, look at cave times. It's been proved that cavemen used to bury their dead, put them in the ground, and there's been a couple of cave dwellings, a couple of burials found with fossilized flowers and stuff in them. So even back then, they were thinking, in the ground, down you go. La-di-da-di-da. Go and live with the German Nazi dwarves living under the ground. Yeah.
But the hollow earth theory subscribes to something completely different, doesn't it? It subscribes to a more livable, conditional situation rather than a hell and damnation kind of situation or a soul situation. It actually subscribes... Oh, my God, my words tonight. It subscribes to the theory... I'm going to keep saying theory.
God, Kerry, are you feeling all right?
There are people and animals and plants and basically a whole world that lives beneath our feet.
I reckon that it's another... what's the word I want? It's biodiversity underneath our feet that evolved at the same time as we did, but they evolved under the ground, and the molten core is their sun, and we evolved above ground.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You have different hominids down there, different animals, different plants and grasses and flora and everything. So yeah.
So, okay, let's look at this in a slightly different way. Modern science. Let's have a look at modern science. Okay. When I was at school, I remember a very clear diagram, and it was basically the world, and it had like a slice cut out of it. And it showed it showed levels, didn't it? It showed like the molten core, and then like the inner layer and the outer layer and the crust, and various, like an onion. It showed it like an onion, didn't it?
Right.
So
liquid magma.
That's true. I love the expressions we're getting again. And that the inner core was primarily iron and nickel, which is a sphere I'm trying to get hold of for a grid to link into Earth energies. But if this theory is correct, I'm not saying it is, I'm just putting it out there, that then this iron and nickel won't link into nothing.
See, I'm more inclined to go with the scientific facts on this one. I mean, normally, as you know, I always think that there's got to be something, no matter how small and insignificant. I always think there's something with any legend or any story. This, I don't know. I do believe, as we were talking before the show started, there's maybe giant caverns, there may be gigantic caverns somewhere, and there may have been at once upon a time some sort of tribe or hominid or giant or hobbit or whatever that used to live in this giant cavern. I don't know. That may be where the theory started, maybe where the story started from. But as for the different layers and the other theory of the spinning globes all spinning in on each other, and the interior sun, which is actually the molten magma and all that sort of stuff. I don't know.
Okay. Wow. Oh, neither do I, to be fair. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, one of the first people to speculate about the hollow earth theory was a guy, you might know him, because he's quite a famous guy.
Yes.
He's very famous. His name is Edmund Halley from the Halley Comet. Now, this was back... Now, okay, so this is back in 1692. They didn't have the scientific advances that we have today. Now, his theory is that the planet is a series of nested spherical shells spinning in different directions, all surrounding a central core. Now, he based his theory on magnetic fields.
He did. He based it on anomalous magnetic... when he got really dodgy readings that he couldn't explain, that was the theory. Russian dolls.
Yeah, that kind of theory, isn't it? And bearing in mind, going back 1692, so, haven't got the scientific advances that we have today, and, the magnetic understandings that we have today, it was possibly, back in the day, an explanation for what he couldn't understand scientifically. Yeah,
there is, as I say, I mean, I'm really not too sure about the hollow earth theory. You would have thought that by now we'd have seen something. Unless, as I say, we don't actually know what's underneath Antarctica. We don't know what's underneath the South Pole. So unless there was something back when that wasn't all frozen up, there's something there that may be in a giant cavern. I don't know. But there's stories of people who've flown over the hole. There's stories of a guy who flew his biplane into one of the holes and met the people down there who were were more technologically advanced than us, but didn't want to intermingle with us or meet us.
Strangely, I don't understand it. Don't understand that personally. I'm awesome. Why wouldn't they want to meet me?
Oh yeah. Well, when you read up the story about it, they said that because of all the wars we've had, and we're a warmongering tribe, that's why they don't want to mix with us. Which, to be honest, I can understand that.
Well, kind of. I mean, yeah, but really.
I know. I mean, we have got a lot of doubters in the chat room tonight. I won't mention names. You know who you are. But
of course, there are a lot of doubters. I mean, come on. In this day and age, and what are we in the 21st century now? Thank you, Taylor, nodding there. Glad I got that bit right. Are we in the 20th or the 21st century? No. Now, I mean, scientific explanations are a lot more evolved, obviously, since Halley's day, but it doesn't change the fact that we don't actually know. We've got a lot of assumptions. We think we know, but we've only drilled to a certain level. I can imagine the chat room's going crazy right now.
Oh, doubters, really? I and I know they're trying to do that. In fact, didn't they do it recently? The Russians were trying to do that 2-mile dig under the ice core, weren't they? And I think they reached the 2 miles recently. I remember getting an email about it. So
I think they have actually dug to 8 miles. I think they have actually dug to 8 miles. But bearing in mind, at some point, I don't know where, but I believe I read that at some point today. But bearing in mind how big the Earth is, it's nowhere near how deep the Earth is. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
So they don't.
Scratching the surface.
We are scratching the surface. Having said that, the theory of this, it's crazy. Quite frankly, I'm going with crazy. Anyway, Anyway, let's get back to topic. Now, the idea is that the central core, the molten lava core, is basically a small sun that hangs at the very centre. And then it's surrounded by a void, and that void is like a mirror image of what we see on the outside is on the inside. But the core is what is the sun, and it all gets a bit weird and wonderful. And even scientists in the 18th century, such as Leonard Euler and Sir John Leslie in the 19th century, they looked at this. I mean, their theories are very... they're not tangible at all, are they? These mass assumptions is where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. I mean, the Earth's crust is 30 kilometres thick. So before anything else, you've got to get through that to get through to the magma, and that's when you'll meet myself and Mini-Me. And then after that, you've got to get through to the inner crust, the outer core, the inner core, and the whole of the rest of the cores.
If there are cores, if it's not actually a hollow Earth.
You just know in the chat room.
I'm actually snorting already. I'm actually snorting already. Anyway, regardless of that, okay, people still buy into this theory. Now, in 1818, a guy called John Cleves Sims Jr. published his circular number 1, declaring to the world that the Earth is actually hollow. Now,
Sims hole.
Now, I love this guy because he he was a veteran of wars and an unsuccessful trader. So he then became very famous and a successful person regarding this hollow Earth theory. Shocker! Do you know what I mean? I couldn't make it in that world, so I'll make my name in another way kind of scenario.
He made those t-shirts with "I've seen your." No, we're not going to go there.
Don't even go there. His initial vision of the Earth's interior was basically very simplified of Halley's multi-layered model, except Sims' version included huge holes at the North and the South Pole, which allowed access to the hidden world inside.
I still don't hold with the theory. I mean, in the chat room, everybody's like, "Yeah, really." And
of course they are. Of course they are.
And they're going on about...
we're like that.
As Paul's just said, if you get to the core, technically you'll go to another realm because you'll burn up. So,
that's true. You'll definitely go to another realm.
You'll probably meet Dr. Evil down there. The German lady with him going, "Lies!" So, yeah.
There are so many...
There you go. There's your German.
To God, this is just... We go again... It's a little bit like when we spoke about time travel, we found some completely crazy people and theories out there. And this is very, very similar, but we do love to do the crazies on a Friday. So, bear with us, guys.
Wouldn't be the Friday show if we didn't.
Exactly. Now, these holes became a unique addition to this hollow Earth theory and actually even came to be known as Sims holes. And he published a pamphlet in which he wrote, now I'm quoting, this is what he actually wrote: "I declare that the Earth is hollow and habitable within, containing a number of solid concentric spheres, one within the other, and that it is open at the poles 12 or 16 degrees. And he actually pledged his life to promoting his notion, declaring, "I am ready to explore the hollow."
No.
Well, he proposed to mount an expedition to the North Pole where he was sure he could locate one of these holes and gain access to the inner Earth. He did. This is what has been said.
No, I know he did, but his have you seen the full blown version of his map?
Yes, I have, and it's
all the little elevator staircases and tunnels,
and it's a little bit strange. But the world is filled with strange and quirky people, as we know. Now, he said that he believed that the Earth would be stocked with vegetables and animals, if not men. And he also believed that his theory was not science fiction, but actual science fact.
Stocked with thrifty vegetables and thrifty.
And he said it didn't just apply to Earth, not just Earth, but to all planetary bodies. I love the way he expanded this theory. He expands this theory. And that the whole universe, it wasn't just that, it was the whole universe was hollow.
So we're talking about the wormholes that Paul was talking about in the chat room. And if you're talking about holes everywhere, does that include one on Uranus?
Oh my God. Anyway, moving swiftly on from that comment. Now, obviously, this has been met with didn't meet with a very good response, did it? In any community.
He was ridiculed.
But he carried on. I mean, he wasn't to be silenced on this. He kept going with this.
But you got to admire him. He did stick to his guns and he did stand up for what he believed in.
You can't knock the guy for standing up for what he believed in, no matter how crazy it was. And he continued to campaign and give lectures and publish letters about the hollow Earth, and even tried to get an expedition to the North Pole to prove his theory. I mean, he was that determined and that strong about his belief that he convinced enough people of the possibility of his hollow Earth theory that in 1822 him and his supporters actually got Congress to vote on funding for his expedition. Obviously, the grant wasn't granted; it was thrown out. But the fact that he got it to that level showed you that that it had legs. He kept pushing it to show that it got to that point.
I mean, you got to feel sorry. I mean, back then. I mean, to be fair, back then on the science fringes, a lot of the things that people were saying, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is this and this is that. The things that the people were ridiculed for have actually turned out to be true. However, I am not. I'm just.
We could be proved wrong. I'm going to play devil's advocate on this. We're all poo-pooing it. We're all saying that this is absolutely awful. The worst idea ever. But maybe, devil's advocate. I'm not saying I believe this at all, but maybe he was right. Maybe at some point in the future this will be proved. I love the way he's shaking his head at me. Even Mark is shaking his head at me, even though I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, because I'm looking at the chat room as we're talking. I'm looking at the comments in the chat room, and I'm just like, this is really quite a good show because everybody's going, lies, no, don't.
At least he's getting people talking. I mean, he never ever gave up on his belief until the day he died, which was in 1849. He never gave up on that belief. He kept campaigning.
And Paul has just hit the nail on the head with what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, exactly. I think he's right. There could very well be an extensive cave system down there with some. I won't say humans, but there could be something that has developed along the same branch as us.
Okay.
Possibly.
I think that's a possibility. I said that really quietly. I'm saying that really quietly because I hate to dismiss any theory. But anyway, I mean, this theory is quite a strange one because there has even been a cult that had grown up around this, and this was led by a guy called Cyrus Teed. he invented the idea called cellular cosmology that placed the entire universe inside a shell. Now, according to Teed's thinking, we were actually living, on the inside of the hollow. I know. On the inside of the hollow Earth, looking up at the universe. He flipped the whole idea on its head, looking at the universe, which in itself creates an illusion with some. Now, I love this because there's nothing to back this up with. This is just a way of explaining it without actually backing his theory up at all in any way, shape, or form. It just creates an illusion that was created by some strange solar mechanism.
And that the stars are on the inside
mechanism. Of it. Gotta love it.
Stars are on the inside of it. We're on the inside of the thing, looking up at the stars, which are on the underneath of the crust.
The worrying part about this, and this is always worries me with cults, his theory managed to gain enough following that it became a cult, and it was called the Korean Unity, and Teed renamed himself. Mate, seriously, when somebody renames themselves to fit their theory, it really worries me because it's dangerous, okay? So, but he renamed himself Koresh, and the Koreshans established, which is really worrying, an extensive colony in Florida in 1894, but to be fair, once he died in 1908, they kind of just woke up and realised that he really wasn't what everyone thought. What worries me about that is that I think that's a pure prime example of how somebody can mind wash somebody or other people.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
The thing is, both Sims and the Korean community have things dedicated to them.
Yeah, but to be fair, absolutely fair, I mean, it's going slightly off on a tangent, but then you've got the Church of Scientology.
Oh, I'm not talking about Scientology. Yeah. I'm not even going to get into that. It's just
another thing where somebody's taken something and gone, oh, hello, we can do this with it.
Well, as I say, I'm not going to talk about Scientology. That is not our subject, and that is too relevant to discuss.
I think on that note, we'll take a break.
Okay, let's have a little breather before we go into the next level of crazy.
Yeah.
You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
Welcome back. We are talking the Hollow Earth theory tonight, which, we've talked a little bit about, where it possibly first started and, with Haley and Sims and, a cult and all sorts of areas so far. Now, science fiction has taken this thought and really run with it, really, haven't they? Because, Jules Verne in 1864 wrote a book called A Journey to the Centre of the Earth, which proposed a weird world inside our own. Now, I remember watching the film. I haven't read the book, but I remember watching the film of this, and it definitely caught my imagination when I watched the film.
Doug McClure.
I know. And that had dinosaurs and weird cults and all sorts going on in the centre of the world, didn't it, if I remember
rightly?
I
can't remember the name of them. Them things. The Moray or something like that.
I honestly can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that film, but it caught the imagination, and I think that's where this theory literally took legs, actually, and grew legs.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, this is at the point where I think it brought more awareness to this particular theory, even though it had been bandied about pre this. I think that particular book and even more the film, going back, it probably was the turning point for this theory that made people start looking at it and researching it and maybe going, oh, well, Mr. Haley thought this, so, maybe it has got a point. I don't know. But there have been other things. I mean, there are other novels that were written about this. But I think sometimes, do you not think an author draws on from what's been already around? So they may have read about Sims and Haley's theories and then written a book around that theory rather than actually thinking it's true. So it's a pure work of fiction, but people take fiction and take it as read. We've seen that even in films nowadays. They take films on historical situations and believe that's the true historical representation of that situation.
As Paul's just said in the chat room, because Andy's gone, oh, that's right, blame Haley, can't blame her. Oh, no, she's not there. It's a joke, I know. And as Paul said, even a time machine have a civilization underground by H.G. Wells. And and everybody around that time did.
They did, but like I say, they've taken a loose theory of somebody or some people, from the past, and run with that idea into fiction, and then people have taken that work of fiction and then made it into more pure. This is the thing with pure conspiracy, isn't it? People take ideas, run with it, they evolve, they change, and then they make facts to fit it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just as I was saying. I mean, I've trainee paranormal investigator beside me here who's just said to me exactly what we were saying. When they first brought out the films, it stirred and fired people's imaginations, and that's where it's come into mainstream. Although the theories have been going for hundreds of years, but the mainstream came from these old books being turned into films. Okay,
so we come to more modern times now. We're going to bring it a little bit more modern now. So we've kind of got to this point. This is where we go even more crazy.
You guys in the chat room, listen to this one.
There's a guy called Ronald Clough. Now, he wrote a book called World Top Secret, Our Earth is Hollow, and that the half the planet is taken up by surface weight, and then there's an empty space, and then something else. Suspended in the centre of that hollow is an interior sun that is divided by day and night. And he says that the other part of the hollow earth theory, as that near the North and South Pole, are substantial, not just little, but substantial, openings that lead into the interior. And that the interior of the earth is a lush tropical paradise that very likely, I love the way it's very likely, he doesn't actually know, houses that an advanced race of humans, aliens and giants, of course. In most scenarios, the inhabitants are descendants of ancient races. I love the way he incorporates everything in this, such as Lemurians or the lost 10 tribes of Israel, guided there through the North Pole. You've got to bring God into this. By God himself. No, by God himself. No matter where they came from, but they are generally characterised as. I love the assumptions. I love the assumptions this guy has made. Generally characterised as peace-loving and advanced far beyond our own, and they have. Mark.
Sorry, what do they have? What do they have?
No, you say this.
They have flying saucer technology.
They do.
Yes, you heard it. We are our own aliens.
We are. They live lives of perfect health for hundreds of years, and their science is much more advanced because they live much longer. Of course they do. Now, the perfect climate believed to exist in the hollow earth is said to produce animals and people that are larger and far more healthier than those on the surface. It's like paradise. This is like Eden. It has the perfect temperature. And God made the inner sun so that it provides heat during the night, but a little bit less at night. Sorry, heat during the day and a little bit less at night. Trees grow up to 1,000 feet tall. Humans grow up to 15 feet tall. And because of these ideal conditions, animal life grows really large as well. I mean, goodness me, this guy has really run with this theory.
Have you seen it? Oh, you haven't seen the chat room. Paul's put in the chat room. It's called the Genesis Caves. They made it on Star Trek 2, the Rafa Khan. He's got a point, but I thought the Genesis cake was all about terraforming. Anyway, I digress.
I'm not getting into sci-fi, although this is pure sci-fi. Anyway, I love this bit. I love this bit, right? In 1981, this is not that far back, he flew his wife his 5 children from New Mexico to a new life in Alaska. And he said to them, and I quote, "Why don't we see if we can find the way to the hollow earth?" Can you imagine what his wife said?
I don't think our bleep machine would be able to handle it.
I don't think so. Anyway, so can you imagine the conversations between wife and husband on this one? I just have, honestly, when I was reading this, I was literally crying with laughter. If my husband had turned around to me and said, "Let's go and find our way to the hollow in the middle of the, let's go and find the hollow earth," I think I would have divorced him on the spot, let alone go with it. But she went with it, that she did go with it, and they started up this road. And he said, "We saw a sign, which is at one point saying that this is a private road, don't go any further." So they didn't go any further. How long? This is the bit that gets me, right? How long before he reached said sign and then decided to not do it? Come on, tell me. How long was he driving for before they decided to change? An hour, ladies and gentlemen. It took him an hour. You can imagine the conversations in said car with wife and 5 children, that an hour he then decided on the fact that the sign said, "Don't go no further." Now, this is stubborn beyond the point of stupidity. This is, I can't believe they even all got in the car to start with, but an hour of going on at him before he then decides, okay, maybe this is not such a good idea, and uses the sign of a private road, "Don't go any further," before he goes, okay, maybe you guys, maybe I'm not going to go on what you lot are saying, it's nothing to do with you guys, but the sign says that we can't go any further, so we're not going to go any further, we'll find another way of doing it.
Do you reckon she took the kids to one side and said, "Look, just humour your father, he'll
No,
pick it up in a couple
I think
of
there was
hours."
no humouring. I think he was nagged mercilessly for the whole hour. I think she encouraged them. I think she was going, "Give your father hell in the car. I really don't think this is the right thing to do. Just cry, do what you like. Let's change his mind." And it took them an hour. That's how bad it was in that car. Can you imagine?
That'd be the worst road trip ever. "Dad, what? Can we go home?" "No." "Dad, what? Can we go home?" "No." "What?" "No, for God's sake." "We there yet?" "Neither we."
Soon afterwards, they moved back south. Strange that. Now, bless him, he didn't give up. Again, he didn't give up on this, because in early, the 2000s, early 2000s, he was actually a part of a long working, long gestationing, is that a word? Gestating, thank you. Expedition known as the North Pole Inner Earth Exhibition.
Expedition.
What did I say?
You said exhibition. He's not
exhibition.
Going,
it wasn't an exhibition. It was an expedition.
Model.
Right, but they had a number of setbacks. But they had backers, and they had members of the team. But everyone kept having calamities. I love that word, calamities. They had calamities.
No, have you read the calamities? One of them
I know it was not very nice calamities.
But the other one. I'll tell you what the calamities were. They had calamities ranging from cancer. You have my sympathies. I've had that 5 times. Of course. And then onto fatal plane crashes.
Strange this. Now this is where it gets a little bit weird. Okay. Now, if it had been successful, it would have been one of the world's largest ice-breaking ships that would have got to the North Pole.
Yeah, that's right.
It would have been. So, they didn't give up on this. He got an email from a guy called Steve Kerry, and then he had heard that, about Clough's book, and they decided to plan a new trip. And they worked on this for several years. And again, they chartered a Russian nuclear icebreaker this time. And they began recruiting members. Now, Steve was charging about $26,000 for a spot on the ship, and he actually got 40 people to put down money on this.
Wow.
Okay. 40 people paid
I'm going on an
$26,000.
expedition into maybe Basildon, or perhaps we're going on an expedition to Hockley Woods next month. Now, do you think people would sponsor us? I reckon round about 20 grand a pop for a spot on that. No?
Well, they managed to get 40 people to do it for this. Now, before they set out, they did charter a plane to fly over the pole to locate the opening. And they were going to leave in August of 2006. However, Steve became quite ill and had brain tumours, and he died, unfortunately. And then another member of the exhibition, a Dr. Brooks Agnew, was appointed as the new leader, and raised more funding, and they were going to do it in the summer of 2014. But again, an unexpected disaster befell the team. He resigned. A major stockholder in the company withdrew all his money, saying it was because of this exhibition. And then when a key member of the team died in an aeroplane crash, Clough began to wonder if mysterious powers were manoeuvring against them. And hence kicks in a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were going to get to this conspiracy theory. There's actually some guys out there who they don't take it too seriously. They're called those conspiracy guys, and if you go on their website, they actually have some pretty funny anecdotes and theories, and they basically get all the conspiracy. Yeah. Thank you, Paul Rook, Illuminati, and 20p a ticket, Andy Mercer. I'll be seeing you soon, young man. And they have all these theories, and they actually do good write-ups on it, and then at the end they'll do their thing, where when they finish laughing, they'll say, no, we don't believe it. But this particular conspiracy theory was on there, and there are actually people who had paid up and were from the exhibition saying, oh no, it's the government, it's the all thing. They don't want us to speak to these people yet because the people aren't ready for aliens or anything that's different from the human race. That's why they're stopping us. That's why they're killing us off. And reading this thing, I just actually felt my IQ dropping by at least 20 points as I was reading stuff.
Okay. So, we're now in full realm of conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Full realms of conspiracy theory. So we've not...
You're going to love this, Andy.
Okay. So, if we are to believe that the Earth is in fact hollow and home to all manner of super race and megafauna, why have we never contacted them or gone there? Now, apparently to Clough, we have. But an international banking conspiracy has worked to cover up the existence of the hollow Earth and hide evidence of any Sims holes. Of course they have.
Are we talking the Illuminati and the Rothschilds?
I think we might be talking New World Order.
Yes. Tinfoil hat alert. That's what's in the chat room.
No, let's be respectful. Let's be respectful to everybody's points of view. Okay? Now,
that's what's in the chat room. It's not my theory.
Oh, right, okay. If it's in the chat room, then we have no control.
A few other things in the chat room, but I can't repeat them.
Now, conspiracy theories love to layer on evidence, I think is the expression. They love to layer it on. They love to find lots of little bits of evidence. And there was a guy called Admiral Richard Byrd. Now, he claimed to be the first person to fly over the North and the South Pole. Now, apparently, he kept a secret journal, so secret that everybody knows about this, in 1947, which allegedly included a report flying into one of the Sims holes and making contact with a race that lives inside the Earth. However, said secret journal has gone on the missing list.
Who's that?
Bizarrely.
Was that the New World Order?
Fits into a conspiracy theory rather nicely, though, said journal going missing. Do you not feel?
See, most conspiracy theories, but it always seems... Some of them, I'm not going to say which ones, some of them are actually quite interesting. Some of them are so bizarre it made my cat cross-eyed. But there's some of them, and you just look at it, and if you pick it apart, like we talked about, they get the slightest thing, no matter how remotely attached to the actual event, and they run with that and go, oh, and you're just like, no, it really wasn't.
Okay, well, I love the fact that the secret journal, secret being the operative word here.
Secret, how do we know about it?
Exactly. That's the operative word. Secret journal has since gone missing. So it, A, how do we all know about said secret journal? And secondly, if it was that secret and it's gone missing, then maybe there wasn't a secret journal.
Well, what about the other half of his fleet that survived?
Pardon?
What about the other half of his fleet that survived the alien attack from flying saucers that flew out of the sea?
I would like to bring in this point some medical information, which I don't know huge amounts about, but I do believe there's something called air sickness that causes hallucinations.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I would think possibly that could have been the case in this one. Just saying.
Or perhaps if he was actually looking for something in the Antarctic, he may have found a sheltered spot with a cave system that might have had some very strange mushrooms in it, and they ate said mushrooms, flew back, and went, oh my God, aliens! And that's why half of them died, because they flew into each other, thinking it was aliens.
Well, we will never know.
Conspiracy theory.
Okay, exactly. I tell you, we need to start our own conspiracy theory site. I'm telling you now, we're starting to make our own conspiracy theories on this show. Right, now, when this allegedly happened, according to records, Bird wasn't actually in the North Pole. He was actually in the South Pole at the time. But this has been explained by said conspiracy theorists as being a cover-up.
Well, North Pole, South, Antarctica, South Pole.
It's poles apart,
snow.
love. Poles apart.
Very droll.
Okay.
Both covered in snow, easily lost. I can see how you would mistake some land that is thousands of miles away from the other bit that you're supposed to be on, but, conspiracy theory, secret theory, all hushed up by the government and the Illuminati. Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, we have another little scenario, which I love this one. I absolutely adore this one.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Now, this one, there was a radio show called Coast to Coast.
Hang on, before we do this, can I just say that Admiral Byrd did say that his 1947 expedition to the North Pole was believed, the diary was believed to contain descriptions of a land full of lush lakes, greenery, and woolly mammoths.
Cool.
Now, back to you.
Anyway, on the Coast to Coast AM show with Art Bell, he interviewed a guy called Dallas Thompson. Now, bless him, he had an awful accident. And he was driving along the Highway 58 during heavy rain when his car aquaplaned and plunged backwards down a 250 foot drop. Sorry. Now, it was astonishing that he actually managed to survive this. But whilst he was surviving, while he was in this situation, he had a vivid near-death experience, and he claimed to have seen a light so bright that it burned his eyes and made him legally blind. And it made him have some knowledge about the world. He had an epiphany, basically. And he was convinced that the Earth was hollow and had an opening at the North Pole. And he came on this particular show to discuss this mission and, discuss it basically and talk about it. And he says that there are cave systems and caves that traverse the whole mantle. And because of this, there's a special atmosphere in the hole. And there were living creatures protected from pollutants and harmful rays. And then again, there were herds of mammoths and ancient tribes down there. And members lived to be 1,700 years old. And the guy, Bell, asked him, how do you know this? And he said, I just do. I remembered stuff that had been forgotten.
Because one when he had his accident, he claimed that when the light came on that burnt his eyes, all the knowledge, all the hidden and lost knowledge of these lost worlds and this, that and the other was apparently poured into him. Then that's how he knew.
He came across on this interview incredibly excitable and very manic, to the point that Bell asked about his mental health, and he just said he was really, really excited. I mean, what's most incredible is he said he had secured funding to explore this hole with a helicopter backpack called Solo Trek, and he'd even made a date for this. And you know, back in the day, you know, in 2003, this is, so it's not too far back, is it?
Backpack to his back,
you know, the media
helicopter.
ran with this story. They heard, you know, about this interview, and they ran with this story. And he wrote a book, and you know, he had a lot of people that were critical of him and a lot of admirers. And you know, he wanted to do this exhibition. However, in 2002, 2 months after his radio appearance, he posted a message on his Yahoo group page and basically said, "I've requested that the book be discontinued, even though it is still top of the charts in Canada." And then, I love this bit, guess what?
He disappeared!
He just disappeared. He disappeared. Conspiracy theory number 1. Or number 3, I think we're on now, aren't we? Actually, with this one.
Yeah. Perhaps he has been chosen to marry Princess Umalata Nidirabodab of the Ulala tribe from Central Earth. And
now,
they've given him his own pet
obviously, you had people going, well, you know, good. And then you had the other people going, oh, maybe he's there. Maybe he's there. Maybe he went to the hollow earth and maybe he got there. However, it's been investigated. And I looked for this. I did actually look for this book because I'm always interested in a book, right? And it is on Amazon, but you can't buy it. It has been withdrawn, but it is there.
Okay.
Okay, but you can't buy it, so it has been withdrawn. So I would imagine you'll probably be able to pick up a copy on YouTube somewhere. Not YouTube, on eBay somewhere. Now, Jesus. Oh, no, sorry. I shouldn't blaspheme, but oh my goodness, is all I'm going to say with this one. Now, a guy called W.M. Mott has said it's sorry, I love this expression. Sorry, babbling moonbats was his expression. Material in this book was plagiarised, lifted, stolen word for word from previously published materials. The author is in hiding as a result and refuses to surface for fear of well-deserved lawsuits. Which makes more sense to me, to be fair.
Babbling moonbats. That's
Love
got
it.
to be one of my most favourite things.
He lifted entire pages and paragraphs from an earlier book called Caverns, Cauldrons and Concealed Creatures. Now this is actually very serious. You can't do that. That's something you can't do. It's complete plagiarism, and which would explain why Dallas Thompson has disappeared. Because if they locate Thompson, then obviously in today's society it's a crime and he will be, you know, held accountable for said crime.
He'll get sued left, right and centre.
And now Mott said he has good reason that he has located Mr. Thompson. He is not blind, never has been, and in fact he's passing himself as a writer again.
What was his book that this guy originally wrote before finding out he'd been doing plagiarism?
I've said it. I can't remember now. I can't go back in my research either, otherwise I'll lose my spot. Anyway.
I'll look afterwards.
Yeah. Now, okay, so this guy looked into him and they basically found a guy that, you know, fitted his profile, fitted his age, fitted, you know, the right place, the right time, the right age. You know, they tried to phone this guy. You know, that they did do their research and they think they found him. However, when they found him, his number was disconnected. Strange that.
You're supposed to be the author of the thriller Eyes Wide Shut as well, and that was a film with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in hiding. Maybe Dallas Thompson went into hiding because of plagiarism. However, the conspiracy theories love this. They maybe the government forces or evil bankers made him disappear. I love that expression. Government forces or evil bankers made him disappear because of the world-changing truths he was about to unleash.
Maybe, or as it says here, maybe he did journey to the hollow earth, descend into it with his helicopter backpack, and is now prancing joyfully with the man and the ancient tribes, living in a paradise of pure air, warm climes, abundant food that will sustain him for another 1,657 years. Or maybe he forgot to pay his phone bill.
Maybe he did. Now, we haven't even covered... I mean, when we looked into this, my goodness me, there were huge amounts of information and theories that backed up the hollow earth theory, even down to photographs that NASA have supposedly released and then covered up, and, you know, all sorts of things. All sorts. All I can say is all sorts of things. And we even looked into the Green Children of Woolpit, which,
I think that was dimensional there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of would, for me, this is not something I would subscribe to giving any credence to. Personal opinion, in all honesty. I'm more likely to believe in cross-dimensionals than another race or, you know, another planet living, breathing beneath my feet. Sorry, guys.
Well, it's the onion theory, isn't it?
That. Sorry?
It's the onion theory, isn't it? The onion theory, I mean, every single thing always seems to go back to... Remember when we were talking about the Tuatha De Danann, and we were talking about precursors and this, that and the other, and in all their legends, they descended under the ground. So did they go to, like, you know, through a doorway? And is that what people are back taking for going actually under whole ground?
I don't know.
Do you need a moment and a glass of wine?
Mate, I definitely need, after today's research, I need wine. That's all I can say, is because logic, scientific backup fact, if someone came to me and said to me this theory and I was really, really drunk, then yes, I might go, oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. That sounds like an absolutely fantastic idea. Let's look into that. And then I'd wake up the next morning and go, oh my God, it's what the hell were we talking about last night? It's one of those. But as I say, we looked into this. I even found a mineral today, ringwood night. Now,
that was interesting. Actually.
This was actually quite fascinating to me. Now, they found a diamond that they found in a kitamite layer. You know, kitamite is only found in the very, very bottom layers of mining, and it's quite rare. And in amongst kitamite, they found this diamond, and they were trying to analyse this diamond. They actually found this mineral called ringwoodnite. Now, ringwoodnite is only ever formed when there are oceans, and where that level of kitamite is, there's no way there should be an ocean. So how did that get formed? Now, you can argue that, you know, between the Earth's crust movement and all that malarkey going on, that's how that formed. And the pressures that are formed to form a diamond are needed. But it made the scientific community sit up. It didn't change their minds and think that there's a hollow earth, but it made them sit up. And I actually really looked into this because I thought I'd never heard of this mineral. I'd never heard of it. And it was really quite strange. But it did give something, a little something, to maybe, just maybe, there's more to this than we think.
There's always that little bit. That's what I said to you about it. With every legend and every story, is that tiny little thing. And as Andy Mercer said, the notion of descent or going under the ground is and within is a common narrative of mythologies around the world, and that's exactly what I was just trying to say is everything. It all seems about the same time. All these advanced civilizations ascended, or ascended.
That's very true. Now, on that note, we're finishing our show. So hopefully we've given you some food for thought on this particular theory. I don't think we're going to revisit this one, do you?
No. When I was doing the research, even the cat was looking at me strangely. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I don't think we're going to, but we've given it a nod in the right direction, and we hope we've given you some food for thought tonight. Now, we have a little announcement. We have a little trick up our sleeve tonight. Stay tuned on the Parasearch radio station. We've got a pop-up show coming, and it's not just me. There's going to be lots of other. There's lots of other people. So stay tuned. We're going to be going live in about 5 minutes again, and I have no idea what we're talking about tonight.
Not underground civilizations.
But it might be underground civilizations. We are with Ronald Murphy. We are talking with Ronald Murphy, who is an absolute... he's an absolutely fascinating man. He knows his subject. He knows his topics. He is cryptozoology. He's just written a book on vampires. And we're trying to... he's definitely coming on, but we're pinning him down to a topic right as we speak. So join us next week. Thank you all so much for joining us in the chat room. And as I say, stay tuned. We have a pop-up show coming up right away. So good night, Mark.
Soon. Good night, Mark.
You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.